Well, please do introduce yourself. Who you are.
I'm Jessica Caponigro. I'm an artist from America living in Chicago.
And you're a professional artist and you're a professor also.
Yeah, so for the last 7 years I've been teaching at a college, printmaking and art history, and I also make and exhibit work.
And okay, please tell me why are you in art residency and in general, why do you need?
I work as an instructor and part-time in the printmaking shop, and I make art, and I do like curating every once in a while, and it's really, really busy. So I found that any amount of time I can take off in the summertime, which is really the only time I can take off, is really beneficial to me, just to like recharge my brain and to sort of like work on projects that I haven't been able to work on, and to just sort of like have the mind space that's sort of necessary, I think. And then now I'll go back and I'll be like energized and recharged.
Do you work in residency differ from the usual work or?
I think a lot of it's really similar. Like I make a lot of like rock sculptures at home, and I make a lot of like patterns, but a lot of my work is like specific to the site that I'm in. So like the patterns that I made here, I wouldn't have made anywhere else because they're patterns based on like textiles from Muhu, or like the roofs of the houses, or like the kitchen door,
Yeah.
and things like that. And like the rocks I've like collected from Muhu, and I was also really sort of inspired by like the history of the buildings and like the fire that happened here. So I made a lot of work that was like candle wax and sage and like protection but burned things. And I think that I got more done here in like a month than I get done in 4 months at home, just because you have all day to do whatever you want to do.
I noticed two things. One thing is that you hang different things on trees or everywhere. And the second thing I noticed that the textile you did are like doors on our
Yeah,
the
the
house.
first one was the door.
And they are doors, like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But what about these hanging things?
Yeah, so a lot of the work that I make has to do with like restriction. So sometimes it's like psychological and sometimes it's like physical, but like something that's contained in something else. So being in nature where it's like so unrestricted, taking things from the earth and then like combining them in strange ways and then putting them back into it was really appealing to me. Like taking a twig or like a stick that I found covered in moss and then like giving it another layer of protection, like wax, and then like wrapping it around and taping it back up where it like came from. Or the other one that's like hanging from the dead tree that like, well, at some point will be removed, but like for this time exists, and it like swings back and forth, and it's like taking things from the environment, changing them a little bit, and then putting them back in.
These works you did here are quite mystical, like so mysterious. And also I know you are quite active on social level in America. Does these two things like connect? How can you describe it, this connection?
Yeah, people ask me that question all the time because it's not like a very overt thing. Like it's not really apparent until I start talking about the work that I make. Like a lot of the work that I make, it's printmaking, or it's like based in pattern, or it's based in like really accessible materials. So it's this idea that, like everyone has an access point to it, and it deals with issues of like being oppressed. Mostly like microaggressions or like the things that I deal with in life where like I'm not able to like fully sort of like engage in the universe. So they're not like overt, but the sort of like conceptual reasoning behind them, this idea of like creating barriers and creating spaces and taking things and like sort of like holding them in really tight and then like letting them out, I think is sort of like it's like an allegory for the social justice work that I do at home.
Yeah, so excuse me if I'm wrong, so I see that you are like repairing or restoring right patterns or structures. You're like this healing process.
I hope so. I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah, I found a lot of rocks here that were like smashed.
Yeah.
So like were at one point single rocks and then smashed, and like collected all the pieces and tried to sort of like put them back together. So yeah.
One wonderful thing happened and one rock attached to the table.
Yeah.
And didn't come off anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what would you like to say yourself, like without any question? What
I don't know.
in general?
I do think that it's easier to access like a certain part of your brain when you're here.
Oh.
And that the environment is so mystical and so magical that like you feel this like weightlessness around you. And I had a lot of like writing projects that I was trying to work on like for my goal. I was like, I'm editing a book about feminism, and I have this thing about like sexism in academia and like all these other projects, and it took 3 weeks of being here before I was able to even like think about those things, because it's so peaceful and it's so magical that I just didn't want to do it. So and this, it gave me sort of like the ability to not do it, to be like, okay, today I'm gonna pour wax on a bunch of rocks, and tomorrow I'm gonna take a bike ride and then draw some patterns, and that's been great. I'm gonna go back to Chicago like ready to cause some trouble.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay.